Well, I think it's the theme first. I think I wanted to make a movie a little bit in the line of my first film, which was about the commodification of the soul. And this time, I wanted to explore motherhood and the commodification of the womb. And then, by developing the theme, then the characters came into play. But it starts usually by an idea more. I read a lot of philosophy. I like ideas, big ideas. So it starts with the idea, and then the story comes after.
You were talking a little bit before too, though. Like you question everything in this film, and I think that's one of the joys of the film. Even what you might sort of see as a sort of feminist impulse, like, is this true liberation? But everything is ripe for satire for you. So I want to, what does satire mean to you, and maybe also like what are some of the satires that you've really been influenced by?
Well, I think you need to laugh about all this, otherwise we're just going to be crying about this future that is coming to us. And I think we have to ask ourselves the question, like, is this the future we want? And if we don't ask these questions now, it's going to be too late when all these technologies are going to be available eventually. Even if right now it's more an allegory of the future and the possible technologies, I think everything will happen because we're very inventive. But the problem is that we're becoming a bit slave of the technology. While the technology is there to help us, it's a tool, but we're becoming, I think, my point of view is like too dependent. But instead of hammering and lecturing you about it, I wanted to make you laugh, to try to trigger a debate about it. And in terms of influence, I love Luis Buñuel. I love all this great generation of filmmakers we had in New York, Michel Gondry and Charlie Kaufman and Spike Jonze. I love Adam McKay. I think his tone of satire is fascinating. So these are all influences.
Emilia, can I ask, I think this is kind of a brilliant depiction of a marriage. It's such an authentic portrait. It is two people who in some ways are kind of fundamentally very different, and yet at the same time, it's very loving, it's very caring, it's kind of a beautiful relationship. So I'm just wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you and Chiwetel kind of developed these characters and how you settled on what this marriage was and what you were to each other.
Yeah, we were incredibly lucky. I mean, Chiwetel, come on, Chiwetel, he's just so good. So getting to work with him was a joy, and he and I, it was this crazy thing. We met at the read-through a little bit before, and then we got to Brussels, and that was the second time that we met, and within an instant, it just came together perfectly. I don't know whether it was me playing an American character and him being British, and but both coming from quite a fastidious school of acting and kind of preparation, and we sort of seemed to have both done a similar amount of preparation, so we came together kind of on an even keel. And there was something about the intimacy of the set. We shot all of the interiors in this beautiful, as you saw, apartment in Brussels, and we kind of lived there. Well, he lived in bed for most of that, as you see most of the stuff that he's in bed. He's having a lovely time. There was we just created a domestic environment, all of us all together really quickly, and as luck would have it, Chiwetel and I got on like a house on fire, which was really helpful. And the chemistry was just, sometimes it's there, sometimes it isn't. And if it's there instantly. I have a huge amount of respect for him as a creator, and I think I'm speaking for him now, he ain't here. I hope he does for me. And so together that relationship just seemed to work. And with the incredible direction of Sophie, we got to a good spot with him.
Rosalie and maybe Sophie together, I mentioned earlier the sort of world building, and to me there's this deadpan brilliance to the presentation of what the Womb Center is and this technology, this company. So I'm just curious, how much did you two talk about what we don't see about this company? How much did you want to know about what this company was and what you were selling, and what all these things that are part of the world building of this, you know, this world that you're part of?
Sophie sent me lots of material before we started shooting, and information about huge companies who pay off their female staff to freeze their eggs in order for them to put on hold having a baby. It's something that it's not unfamiliar to me. My sister's quite a high-powered businesswoman in New York, and she hasn't had a child, and I have. So we've had a lot of conversations about that, and how she's felt that she couldn't become a mother because she put work first. And I mean, talking about a huge corporation and the darkness of that, I think that's reflected in day-to-day life, in the news, what we live, you know, in the society we live in. I don't think it's something that's hidden specifically, but I think it was, a lot of it was also there in the script, which is the beauty of the script. We don't have to delve too far because Sophie's put it there for you, really, to work with. Do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I'm going to ask you one last question, and then I'm going to throw it to you all in the audience. I just, maybe Sophia and Andre, you know, the way that we often see future in the film, even if it's a near future, there's a sort of shorthand that often is kind of clinical darkness, you know, a sort of coldness. And this to me is the opposite. There's this kind of warmth and color and brightness to how, you know, we see what the world's gonna be like. I'm just curious how you talked about that and what it was that you wanted to convey.
Well, I think part of the approach was to sort of seduce all of us into wanting to live this world. I think had it been portrayed as a very cold and dark and, you know, black and white world, I don't think we would have been that interested in the possibility. So it was really about playing with our expectations. You know, everyone that has an Apple phone loves touching, right? We spend hours touching our phones, and that's the world that we wanted to sort of bring us to.
No, I think we did a lot of research visually. It was very important to make a feminine sci-fi because it doesn't really exist in a sense. Sci-fi is a very male-dominated genre, and all the masters that I admire so much, like Kubrick and even Tarkovsky did Solaris, which are some of my favorite films. But there aren't that many female directors going into sci-fi. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's intimidating as a genre. But so there is a resolute decision with the production designer who did an incredible job, Clem Price Thomas, to go for the roundness and the softness of colors. So one of the reference was Zaha Hadid, the architect, who uses round forms in every shape that she's designed is basically round, which is really hard to do in architecture and very expensive. And then the colors, the references were Georgia O'Keeffe, also Marie Laurencin, who is a French painter. So we went for the pastel tones, and then our costume designer is a French woman who has incredible taste, and she brought colors for Linda's outfit that were from Issei Miyake that are punching. And so we just wanted to make a playful, tangible sci-fi that you want to touch and have and be seduced by it.
Okay, we have a few minutes for questions from the audience. So if I could ask you, please speak loudly so that we can all hear you. Yes, in the center.
This one's for a little part. It's kind of a funny question, but let's say they perfected this egg and it was something that was accessible and there was no hiccups to it. Would you choose this as an option?
I knew this question was coming. Just in front of all you guys, what would I do? No. No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. No, I had plenty of time to think about this. Just quick answers, no, really.
You can say yes.
Yeah, maybe I should say yes, and no, I'm saying no, I didn't do it. Sorry to everyone who was sitting there going, that looks like a great idea. Yes, no, I would disagree.
Other questions? At the far end, yes.
So I love that you named the therapist after the original artificial therapist. I thought was wonderful. It seems you even let the original Eliza Rice really fascinated with dreams, and yours was downplaying them, and you mentioned how dreams that you had when you were pregnant, I think, played such a role in this. And there was another thread of lack of dreams of the babies being born through the pods. I wondered if you would share kind of your thought process of what brought you to that, and which side of that story influenced it as you brought it into the story.
Question is about the artificial therapist and the role of dreams.
Well, I'm glad you noticed Eliza, because I played with her. I went online, I played with the original one to see how intelligent it was. And at that time, when they developed it in the 60s, Eliza was just repeating the last words of the question you would ask. So you would get into these circular conversations that were maddening. So there was an influence for that new Eliza, where you could see that she's not, I mean, I don't think it's artificial intelligence at that point, it's artificial idiocy, you know, because it's, she's just driving him crazy, but she's not going anywhere. And yeah, the dreams, I write my dreams, and I have a dream journal for many years, and sometimes when I read them back, I'm amazed at what the subconscious could create. And when I was expecting my child, I had a lot of insane dreams, and I asked other friends who are pregnant, I think it's a hormonal thing. It happens to everyone who is pregnant. I think there is the subconscious is trying to tell you things, and sometimes it's trying to warn you about this important event that's going to happen in your life. And so I think for women, there are books actually about this, that it's opening a window in your psyche, and that's why I think it's a wonderful experience. I'm not saying every woman should have a natural pregnancy, everyone should do what they wish, but I think for me it was something I learned a lot about my subconscious and who I am, and so I cherish it a lot.
Last question, yes.
Yeah, why the choice of eyes? Eyes inside of Pegasus and also for the therapist?
Because the eyes are very powerful, I think. They're the window of the soul. And the idea is at one point that the organic and the digital would merge into one thing that is not recognizable for humans. And I think it's going to happen that maybe in 2 generations we're going to be confronted to technology and not sure what is organic in them and what's digital. And I think that's what the high-tech companies are trying to develop, which is wonderful and aesthetically beautiful, but it's very confusing. So it was a deliberate choice to have the eye, because it's a very powerful thing that can look at you. But it's also a little reference to how in 2001 there was just a lens. But thanks to our beautiful visual effects, we were able to make a full iris and animate it in a way that's interactive, and that's the idea.
Okay, we're almost out of time. Can I ask a lightning round question? Everybody has to answer very quickly. What is one device from the movie that you would have? We know Emilia would not have the pod. What is one device that you would want from the movie?
Sophie?
I want the 3D printer toaster. I want that thing.
Oh, yeah. The thing that makes your breakfast, possibly. That would be helpful. That would be good. To just wake up and be like, oh, that looks great. Sure.
Nobody's jumping at this. I guess nobody. Technophobes.
Oh, I know. I do, I know. I would like someone to tell me what to wear every day. That would be great. Oh, take it away from us, yeah.
The clueless rail. Yes, that would be good.
I don't want any of it.
All right.
Stupid.
I want to go live in nature like them, on a dune.
On that note, thanks everyone for coming. Thank you all for coming.